This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
What's going on, everybody? It's Mercedes Terrell from Bellator MMA.
Hey, this is Billy Howardell from The Perfect Circle.
Hey, I'm Adam Carolla.
Hey, this is Max from the Arkells.
Hi, this is Tina Stoll. I'm a driver in the NHRA.
Hey, this is Dallas Smith.
Hi, I'm Commander Chris Hadfield.
I'm Danny Danko. I'm the Senior Cultivation Editor for High Times Magazine.
Hey, guys, guess what? I'm Jake the Snake Robertson. You're not. Yeah, bad break for you. You're listening to the Toddcast podcast like you didn't know.
The Toddcast podcast
is powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Imagine being in an airplane and it gets hijacked. Guy comes out of the restroom, he's wearing a balaclava, shotgun in hand, so many sticks of dynamite taped to his body, you can't count them all. Well, that happened to Air Canada Captain Nels Hagenson. Air Canada Flight 812 was hijacked back in 1971, and this week, Nels' son, author Mark Hagenson, is a guest. He first wrote a screenplay about those events of that day, and eventually went on to write The Doomsday Flight. This story is going to blow your mind.
You know, my dad had a flight in 71 from Vancouver to Montreal with stopovers in Calgary and Toronto scheduled. And out of Calgary, this fella gets on. His name's Paul Sini. And they took off from Calgary. And remember, this is before metal detectors. They starting to come in use. Only Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal had metal detectors. Calgary had...
What a crazy concept and what a crazy thought. Like, what?
No, right? Calgary had a roving metal detector, was my understanding, so it could go to certain gates, but they pretty much only used it on the international gates. Wow. From my research. But anyway, this guy, security, with a sawed-off shotgun and 54 sticks of dynamite.
Can you believe that? Only Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal had metal detectors. Absolutely crazy. So joining author Mark Hagenson is the goaltending director at the Yale Hockey Academy in Abbotsford, Andy Neilsen.
Oh, it's pretty vivid because I came to the game a little bit late. Worked my ass off all summer in the farm and got paid, and I had been begging my dad, more my mom's always really supportive, but that I wanted to play hockey, and I got cash and went to Canadian Tire and I bought a set of goalie gloves. So it's I always had to prove to my father that I was serious about something. And, like I started the game late, like 12 or something like that. And then once he figured out that I was serious about it, off we went. So
that's awesome. And which players did you kind of, like, for lack of a better word, idolize?
Mike Palmateer was the guy for me. I just remember watching him, and fun to watch and unpredictable. And, from there he kind of gravitated towards guys like Tretiak. Was always cool because the whole mystique with the Red Army kind of a thing in the Olympics, the big red machine, right? So he was cool to watch, and that kind of started changing things for goaltending with the butterfly stuff too, right? So those were kind of my two early influences.
Nice. He goes, I came to the game a little bit late, and yet here he is, shaping the future of Western Canada's brightest players. You gotta love that. And you'll hear from this week's musical guest in just a second, a legendary Canadian rock frontman. If I sang one letter of the alphabet, I would give it away. He is coming up in just a sec. So listen to this. This episode, retired Canucks goaltender Corey Hirsch talks about writing his book and being an advocate for mental health awareness. That is powered by our great friends, Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, RV Service Repairs. Yes, they are ICBC accredited, and they are 9. Freaking 9. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9-year sponsors. Not one break in that time. You can find them kicking around online from time to time on Facebook and Twitter at where else? Tedco RV Supplies. First, our first guest of 3, this week's musical guest, Helix singer Brian Vollmer. Give me an R! The one letter that would give it away. Of course, you've known about Helix since the 70s. They're best known for their smash radio hit, Rock You. They released the music video for that song, and you would see it alongside of Van Halen Jump or Michael Jackson Beat It or Duran Duran's Hungry Like the Wolf, Friday Night Videos, Good Rockin' Tonight. Helix were national superstars in the early 80s. So listen to Brian talking about Canadian entertainment when the band formed and the difference of today's fan expectations.
The only other entertainment at that time was the bowling alley or the pool hall. So we pretty much had the market cornered. And today, you get all sorts of stuff. That's why we progressed with our show. Now we got a huge screen behind us when we play in most places. And we got all sorts of videos up there as we play because people want more.
Well, it's almost expectation at this point, Brian.
Yeah, 5 guys standing up there just rocking on is great, but they want, like I said, they want more. They want film, they want explosions, whatever you're going to put up there.
No doubt, right? The only other entertainment at that time was the bowling alley or the pool hall. It was a different time. I talked to Brian for close to 40 minutes. You can check it out all over online. iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Megaphone. You can watch the interview at our YouTube channel, of course, all at Toddcast Podcast. Helix reunited in 2009 for an album, and they've been touring ever since 2011. And name the band, they've toured with the heavyweights, Kiss, Aerosmith, Motley Crue, Alice Cooper, Motorhead. And you may find this impossible to wrap your brain around. Brian says he didn't grow up in a musical house.
Not at all. My grandfather was my influence in music, and he was a big country buff. In fact, I got 24 Johnny Cash albums in my record collection. But that's where I first listened to music: Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Kitty Wells, Patsy Cline. And he also had Top of the Pops, which I listened to as well. And once I got into high school, I went and bought my very first record, which was American Woman by the Guess Who. And then I think I bought Monster by Steppenwolf, Aladdin Sane by David Bowie, Joe Cocker, Mad Dogs and Englishmen. The funny thing is, a lot of these people I ended up meeting later on in my career, like John K. Steppenwolf and Joe Cocker. So I've been lucky.
Met Joe Cocker, hey? He just got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I heard. That's great. He should be.
He should be there.
I met Leon Russell, too, who played for Mad Dogs and Englishmen, as you know.
Yeah.
But Joe Cocker, I met down in New York on Avenue of the Americas, where the Capitol building was. And Paul and I were there doing all-day interviews. And I'm trying to remember the guy that from the record company. It'll come to me. But he used to go out with Sheenie Easton. And he said, "We'd like to meet Joe Cocker." I says, "Yeah, I'm a big fan." So Joe Cocker come on. He goes, "Hey, man, it's my 40th birthday, and I just smoked a great big blunt of Hawaiian. You'll have to excuse me." And I got pictures too, so.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, he's one of the best, man. That's, what a time to be in the industry too. Like, just again, it was just a different time. Like when labels were throwing money around. Like I caught the tail end of that as a radio.
Our money.
right? Chucking, yeah, exactly, your money around. Well, when they're chucking money around, it was truly it's a time that almost like when you talk about it, people don't even believe it.
Yeah, that's why I want to write the book. It was such an important part of Canadian musical history, and it's gone now. People don't realize it, but there's no place to train.
Of course, there's got to be someone. He goes, my grandfather was my influence in music, and thankfully for Brian, it was family who helped him down that path. As you'll hear him talk about in the full interview, the music of Johnny Cash and the Guess Who, meeting Joe Cocker. He shared his first concert story. And Brian says he's filmed his entire career since 1986. Well, not the entire thing, but you know what I'm saying, since 86, and talks about his book, The Canadian Bar Circuit.
You know, I've taken film since 1976. I have home movies, sound home movies in some cases, that go right back to that 1976. I'm probably one of the few people in Canada that was out there filming at that time, and it was a very special time in Canadian musical history. In fact, I'm writing a book called The Golden Age of the Canadian Bar Circuit. It was a training ground for bands. That's where we learned our licks, honed our skills, got tight as a band musically, and even as people, it molded you into, you know, we were hardened. By the time we got signed to Capital EMI in 1983, we were ready to take on the world. And the record company saw that in us. They came out to see us at the Gasworks, and they were kind of on the fence whether or not they were going to sign the band. And at the end of the second set that night at the Gasworks, Brent blew his amp up. So he went and stuck his little practice amp up, stuck a microphone up to it. We went on for the third set, and we rocked even harder than the second set when the record company was there. Unbeknownst to us, the record company had come in through a back door and was watching through a little window. And they said to each other, look, at these guys, doesn't matter what, they keep going. So that was a good investment for them. Like, think about it. If you're going to invest money in a band, you want a band to tour to get the music out there. And they saw that in us, and we were road hardened. In fact, I talked to Al Harlow of Prism when I was interviewing people for the book, and he said the same thing. When Prism released their first album, you know, they had Bruce Allen. They were writing with Jim Vallance, you know, who ended up writing most of the Bryan Adams songs with them. They had the agency set up. So, and they were road hardened musicians once again. And, you know, the kind of like tick the boxes. Because a record company is going to sink money into you, they're looking at an investment. And we were a good investment.
How cool is that? I'm probably one of the few people in Canada that was out there filming at that time. Brian talked about writing his book, his upcoming tour with Chips Enough. We talked COVID in those shitty times. We got into marketing his band, working with Took, the toll of being in a band on Family, singing with the Ontario Youth Choir back in the day. And this is powerful. How we're losing the training ground for upcoming Canadian bands.
People don't realize it, but there's no place to train. Like, okay, you go down to the corner bar and play your ass off for like forever. But if you want to be a truly eclectic performer and have a world view to your music, you need to get out and travel and see the world. You know, the whole world isn't the corner bar in your, you know, or your local watering hole. Out across the country. And I had a band actually stay here that was touring, and it's really tough for young bands because the rooms aren't supplied a lot of times.
Right.
Or they're working for the door. I believe the band was called The Fixer, and they're from Thunder Bay, and they came and stayed. Their dad approached me and said, look, they'll sleep in the floor of the garage. I said, well, I'm not going to make them sleep on the floor of the garage, but they could sleep on the floor of my basement as a rug. And so that's what they did. And I hardly even knew they were there, to tell you the truth. They must have talked among themselves to stay out of my hair as much as possible. But it was a great feeling because I felt like I was mentoring these people to an extent, and a pretty good band. The Fixer.
The Fixer is a great name for a band as well. Yeah. You know, that was the thing about COVID too, that really like further to your, you know, your book that you're going to put out. What's it called again? The book's called what?
Golden Age of Canadian Bar Circuit.
Golden Age of Canadian Bar Circuit.
And you know what? I'm a qualified to write that book because Helix was the first band ever to play from Atlantic to Pacific through the bars. Many bands flew out to the coast, like Major Hoople's Boarding House, for instance, right, or Copper Penny. Then ground, they'd fly out to the East Coast. But we actually went week by week by week. In fact, I could even tell you the bars we played. We'd start off in Kitchener, and then we'd drive up to North Bay and we'd play the St. Regis Hotel. From there, we'd go to the Water Tower in Sault Ste. Marie. From there, we'd go to the Landmark in Thunder Bay. From there, we'd go to the Norlander in Winnipeg, then the Albion in Portage la Prairie, and then the Scary Nights or Regina Nights in Regina, or we'd go to the A4 in Saskatoon, and then over to Alberta. We play the Airliner in Calgary, the Beverly Crest Hotel in Edmonton. Then we go down and play the Westward in Medicine Hat, the Alec Arms in Lethbridge, and then we'd skip over to Alberta. We'd play Outlaws in Vancouver, and then there was a whole whack of bars I can't even remember, but week by week, and it was grueling, and we lost our wives, our girlfriends. Sometimes they alienated the family, but there's I know what to say about that.
There's rock to be had.
Yeah, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, loss of family.
Yeah. Well, that furthers the point that I was going to make, Brian, is that COVID really screwed that part of the industry as well, shutting down venues. And, it's been kind of gradually doing that on its own anywhere, where you're losing those venues where you can play 50, 100 people. Suddenly you're getting these bands like The Fixer that plays Vancouver, but nobody knows them, and what they're going to play a 500-seater. Nobody's going to show up.
Well, the problem is, back in the day, as I said before, we were the only game in town. There was no other entertainment. Nowadays, if you play in a bar, there's two ways to make money off the band: the bar and the door. For the casino, they don't even care about the bar or the door. They care about getting people out on the gambling floor. In the case of festivals, a lot of them are sponsored by government, or they got some source of revenue. Booths that are selling everything from T-shirts to motorcycle parts. So it's become diversified, and bars sadly can't compete with a lot of that stuff.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
I don't want to set the world on fire. Your heart was one was stealing. Though you're miles and miles away, miles and miles away, you're still on my brain, still on my brain. Memories on replay, memories on replay. I can't help think about the way you always say my name, always say my name. It sounded sweeter than a summer's day. How I wish nothing changed, but I don't regret our time together. I don't wanna set the world on fire, but your heart was one was stealing. Wanted to let you take me higher. How did we forget that feeling? I wonder when we were finished. How easily love can just diminish. How hard it can be to be forgiven when all of the cards are down and you can't calm down. Sorry that you found out like this. Though you're miles and miles away, miles and miles away, this feeling hasn't changed, feeling hasn't changed. I can't explain, I can't escape all this love I've got for you. I don't wanna set the world on fire, but your heart was one was stealing. Wanted to let you take me higher. How did we forget that feeling? I remember when we were finished. How easily love can just diminish. How hard it can be to be forgiven when all of the cards are down and you can't calm down. Words can feel like treason and I seem so unfair. There must have been a reason we left it in despair. I can't help feeling that you never cared. Now there's nothing about us that's keeping me here. I don't wanna set the world on fire. Do you feel like I'm alive. I found out when we were finished how easily love can just diminish, how hard it can be to be forgiven when all of the cards are down and you can't calm down. I don't wanna set the world on fire. Oh, I don't wanna set the world on fire. Sorry that you found out like that.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
If you've ever felt like not getting out of bed or going to work or talking to anyone or eating, living, depression is real. Just give me some space. Stay in bed, covers over your head. I need the day. And thankfully, there are people who help put the spotlight on mental health awareness, like retired NHL goaltender Corey Hirsch. He finished his career with a 2.93 goals against, an 8.99 save percentage, played with the Stars, Capitals, Rangers, the Canucks. He's been a real advocate for years. His story is well known and one that you can read in his book called The Save of My Life, My Journey Out of the Dark. Maybe you can lean on your family, your friends to help, but maybe you can't, and you don't have that network. Truly, though, mental health starts with compassion. It comes down to you and I, being good people, empathizing. Corey Hirsch shares his own struggle again in his book, pushing for the destigmatization. His bravery to share has likely inspired others to do the same. So listen to this.
You know what? The book was interesting because I had a writer write it, and then I didn't think he really kind of got the essence of it. So then I rewrote it, a lot of the chapters, but he gave me the base of the book, right, which was great. Yeah. But then I ran in and I rewrote a lot of the chapters. And then I had a buddy of mine, the guy who wrote the Players Tribune article. He went in and he's a professional writer, right? He makes it come alive. So they did a fantastic job of that in the book. But as far as like writing it, like I still haven't read the book. I'll never read it. I'll never read the finished product. I have no interest in reading the finished product. I lived it, right? And it's behind me. And I'm proud of it, writing the book, and I'm proud that it helps other people, but there's no need for me to go back there. Right. I mean, I move forward, and a lot of that is a lot of my pain and a lot of my darkness, and and I'd rather look at the product today, so I probably don't see myself ever reading it. I have no interest, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. And is that something that you'd like maybe write another book? Not necessarily about mental health awareness, but like, would you write another book, or is that like, that's not happening?
Well, because I'll be honest, like, since I wrote the book, like, things have even changed even more, right? Like, so it's like it's a never ending battle, but it's there might be another book. I mean, I've gone to work with ayahuasca, I've gone to work with plant medicine, psilocybin, all those things that and they're quite powerful. Plant medicine is something that I'm interested in. I still believe in the traditional route too. I believe there's a place for both. Mm-hmm. But there's other natural options that I think can help too, that are like a lot of guys, military PTSD, are saying, psilocybin's been life-saving for them.
Like microdosing, or like
like you can just go, like you do the ceremony, all that. But I for anybody out there listening, I'm not promoting or recommending anybody do that. Like, you got to be very careful of where you go. And it's not a cure. It's just another method of help. And it's, there's lots of different routes out there. So, like I say, the biggest thing is for something like that, it's a personal journey. And you got to really know what you're doing and where you're going. It's helped some people. Traditional route has helped a lot of people. So both have a place in my world.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit CanadianClub.com today.
It's not a stretch to say that every single song, that band is Murderers, top to bottom. That EP they released earlier this year, it is solid. That song's called Hopelessly Devoted to You, and reading the title, you're going like, is that a cover of the Olivia Newton-John Grease soundtrack? No, it is not. An absolutely crushing band. Played you the new one from Chase the Bear. It's a new song for those guys called Worth Stealing. They've been killing it the last couple of years. Danny Craig and Dave Benedict from Default helping out those boys with their Rock is Dead record label. Absolutely love that. Okay, so coming up shortly in Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, Canadian bluesman David Gogo talks about meeting Stevie Ray Vaughan and his overall influence in his playing and his career, I suppose. That is powered by our good buddies, the Home Dwell Group, longtime friends. I've, in fact, known one of the partners since grade 6. Literally, elementary buddies. Still hang out with him all the time. He comes to most of my live shows at the Blue Light Studio. And he's been in that industry since graduating high school in one form or another, designing killer homes in Vancouver or buildings that you would know. So he knows what's up. If you're buying a house or you're selling your home, trust someone who knows the ins and outs of that game and can help you navigate those waters. It's a big, big world. Contact my good buddy Kyle today, homedwell.ca, homedwell.ca. First, the second of 3 Toddcast guests this week is our sporting guest, Yale Hockey Academy goaltending director, Andy Neilsen. Andy's been with the Academy since 2007, helping develop goaltenders here in Western Canada. His career is impressive, to say the least. Before getting there, Junior A, Major Junior, and he played professionally as well. And sure, he's been starstruck at one point or another, meeting one of the best goaltenders to ever do it. How could you not be?
Grant Fuhr was the one. We were, I was actually in Edmonton in a sports memorabilia store, and I was there with David Hutchison. I was helping a former student of mine, camps that I help out in Spruce Grove every year. And he walks in and we were talking with David, had his son Matthew there, and who's playing in the WHL now, but no idea. Like, you've seen all these cool pictures of Fuhr with the reverse windmill with the blocker saves and stuff. And lo and behold, they turn around like, holy shit, that's Grant Fuhr. And David went into like, hey, David Hutchison in Goal Magazine, pulled out the camera right away and pulled Mini Hutch beside him, and he took the picture. And I was too gobsmacked. I'm like, hey, we were just talking about you. And oh, that's nice. He kind of walks by, and his wife is behind him. I'm like all apologetic. I'm sorry. He said, he gets this all the time. As long as people are polite, it was pretty cool. But didn't even think to take a picture with him. It was just like all of a sudden you're looking at these pictures on the wall, turn around, holy shit, that's Grant Fuhr.
Yeah, and I've had him on the podcast before. He's just like a jovial kind of guy. Like he just loves life, and
absolutely.
You gotta love that. I was too gobsmacked. Hey, we were just talking about you. The full talk with Andy is online now. It's a great chat for anyone interested in Canada's official sport. Of course, all at Toddcast Podcast. Again, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, pretty much wherever you watch and listen to podcasts. So Andy's well known in the hockey circles throughout the Lower Mainland for helping develop elite athletes. And we got into it with him, of course, talking about all things hockey, but we got into like movie stuff as well, like Slapshot, The Mighty Ducks, Face Off, and Marc-Andre Fleury. The possibility of Matthews breaking Ovechkin's goal record. Will that ever happen? Bedard and the Blackhawks came up. So did Gretzky. How could you not talk Gretzky? We talked about gambling on sport as well. And I got Andy to do the impossible. Build the ultimate hockey line with past and present players.
I would say you'd have to have Gretzky in there. And then, you know what, just for giggles, I'd put Sid on one side and Ovi on the other side. Like, how does it get any better than that? Like, I know McDavid, everyone, but I'm sorry. I still, growing up and seeing it, Gretzky was still, and there's no denying Connor McDavid is a generational talent, the speed that he can generate, but I'd still take Gretzky. And then Sid and Ovi. Wow. Could you imagine?
Dude, who's on D?
Ooh. Scott Niedermayer. And you know what? Let's go modern with Cale Makar.
Yeah. That kid's a crusher, hey? No, hold on a second. Not Hughes over Makar?
Yeah,
didn't Hughes have the fastest recorded time? Like, you were just talking McDavid speed, but did you actually have the fastest?
Yeah, you know what? There's no denying it, but then I look at the size factor, and there's a little more sandpaper and grit to his game, kind of a thing. And Quinn Hughes is another one it's insane. His edge control,
Oh, dude, he makes the best look bad.
Oh, it's nuts. It's funny to watch because you know what's coming. And Colby Armstrong did that little thing with him, and he didn't want to give on the couch. Didn't want to give away too much of his stuff, but little punch stops and edge stuff, and it's fun to watch. But just for me, my son played junior against Makar in Alberta, and he just said, Dad, it was ridiculous. He could do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted on the ice when he played with Brooks. So that'd be the guy for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And tending.
Ooh.
You're like, hold up. This is my world. Here, let me.
It is, but there's, you know what? It's so subjective too. Because yeah, you can go back to Billy Smith, who was,
dude, he just was monstrous.
Yeah, and just an evil attitude. Like, it was kind of neat to see. And Hextall came along and took that a little further. And I don't know. I still Dominic Hasek, and it's funny because you talk about this as goalie coaches. If you'd probably cut him, the first time you see him, because he's not doing it the right way. But stop the puck, and he did some cool things. But I'm probably going to go with fear. I would like just the money, timely saves, the experiences he had, and again, fun to watch.
I mean, truly well said. The money, the timely saves, experiences that he's had, again, fun to watch, no doubt, right? Grant Fuhrer was clutch in those moments, and cool to hear Andy talk about the best of the best. And of course, other parts of his life as well, like his family, seeing Ronnie James Dio and Yngwie Malmsteen in concert, growing up to the music of Conway Twitty, Johnny Cash, and Kiss. And what is his career highlight?
That's a tough one. Yeah, because you celebrate stuff as a coach. That's not just you on your own. I would say probably signing my first pro contract. It was really satisfying to get to that level, and then just to be able to share that with my parents, kind of a thing.
Right, because like parents are the unsung heroes, man. Getting up
100%,
early, going to practice, like always supporting, being there 100%. Like,
you remind the kids too, like you repay your parents with sweat equity. Like when you've been provided an opportunity to be part of programs that you're in, and your parents are sacrificing. Like, we've got kids, Dylan Cousins came from Whitehorse, and then his younger brother, Luke, played for us too. We have a young man from Australia. We have a young man from South Korea. You get kids from all over the States. Parents sacrifice to give these kids these opportunities, and you repay them by sweat equity. And I look back, I never wanted for anything. My sister never wanted for anything. And my parents worked hard, man. So that's probably the one for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to get away from that, I bet, hey?
Yeah.
Red Truck Beer, delivered fresh, the official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
Got no reason to sweat, 'cause I got the last laugh. Yeah, I'm on the fast track to the rest of my life. I kicked out the guilty, made room for the pleasure, feeling light as a feather, floating up to cloud 9. So I'ma let loose my beats and the pressure, learn to love a little better, in a different state of mind. I'ma let loose, feel the magic of a moment, it's gone before you know it, and you can't get back the time. So I'ma let loose, ooh, 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 ooh. I'ma let loose, ooh, ooh. What's the use in holding on to my perfect composure? The little devil's on my shoulder, getting blinded by my light. They can't handle it when I let loose my beats and the pressure, learn to love a little better, in a different state of mind. I'ma let loose, feel the magic of a moment, it's gone before you know it, and you can't get back the time. So I'ma let loose, ooh, 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 ooh. I'ma let loose. the moment. It's gone before you know it, and you can't get back the time. So I'ma let loose. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'ma let loose. Ooh, ooh. Hey, I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. Come on. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
Canadian bluesman David Gogo has been playing since he was 5 years old. At 15, he met Stevie Ray Vaughan at a show at the Royal Theatre in Victoria. And David's from Nanaimo, so it was a quick trip to see one of his heroes. I'll tell you more on that in a minute. By 16, David was getting work as a session musician. He started a band called The Persuaders and opened up for some greats like Johnny Winter, Buddy Guy. He even played on stage with B.B. King. Without question, David is one of Canada's best bluesmen. He's a Maple Blues Award winner, a relentless performer, Juno-nominated albums, Western Canadian Music Award-nominated albums. Impressive stuff, to say the least. And stop me if you've heard this before. Back to meeting Stevie Ray Vaughan. David talked about how Stevie encouraged him to play the blues.
Well, he kind of brought it together for me as a focus to realize what I wanted to do, because when I was, first starting to play in bands at like 13, 14 years old, I was really kind of a blues-based player, and a lot of these guys, had no idea what the blues was, Mm-hmm. So we played a mixture of kind of, it was a lot of, once again, the 60s rock stuff. But when Stevie came out, I'm like, oh, that's it. That's what I want to do, And he was kind of like the real, kind of brought the blues back alive. And I was lucky enough to meet him when I was 15 and hang out with him several times before he passed away. So, it was a real catalyst, and he was a real super nice guy as well, and was really encouraging.
And at 15, like that had to be such a huge meeting for you.
It was, and if I may plug myself here, I just started a podcast myself.
Oh, you did? Great. What's it called?
Yeah, it's called the David Gogo. It's called the Soul Vendor Podcast, and we're only 2 episodes deep.
Okay.
But the first episode, I just talk about all my times hanging out with Stevie, like when I first met him when I was 15, and sleeping on his hotel room floor in Victoria. It's just ridiculous, but
yeah,
he was just a super nice guy because he understood where I was coming from. He, as much as he worshipped Jimi Hendrix and Albert King and all those guys, all of a sudden this 15-year-old kid shows up and I had a hat like his and everything else. He just kind of looked at me, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm on the other side now.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by the HomeDwell Group. Buying a house? Selling your home? Contact Kyle at homedwell.ca today.
would say that's likely one of their best songs. The band is Chief State. Love that one. Continental Drift. And you'll likely see that one on Sunday, this Sunday, July 27, at Redgate. Great show. All Hype, Chief State, Cloud Sick. I'm going to play something for those guys in a bit. And Landmark 20, just $20, like steal of a deal. That is a 19 plus. Doors are at 8 o'clock. I will likely be there, so maybe we'll see you on Sunday. You heard Sadie Campbell as well. That's her excellent song. It's called Let Loose. Sadie's from Vancouver, although she's been down in Nashville for the better part of a decade, although I will always consider her a Vancouver artist. Her latest album, Metamorphosis, is outstanding. Pick it up. And if you get a chance to see her perform, if she's playing in your neck of the woods, try to make it. She is simply amazing. Okay, so let's get you to our final guest of this episode 370. This week's entertainment lifestyle guest is the Doomsday Flight author, Mark Hagenson. This book is based on a true story. Mark and I have known each other for a while now. He's a good dude. Builds and services flight simulator systems, which makes sense when you consider why he's a guest this week. His dad's Air Canada 812 hijacked flight of 1971, so he wrote a true-to-life book about the events. Earlier in the podcast, pretty much right at the start, you heard Mark talking about the start of his dad's story. His dad and all the other people working on that flight as well, might I add. But listen to Mark talk about the hijacker's ransom note and what his demands were.
He handed John a little yellow piece of paper to give to the captain, which pretty much said, head towards Great Falls, Montana. I want $1.5 million and no funny business, basically, or I'm going to blow this plane sky high. And so
Wow.
they diverted to Great Falls, and on the way to Great Falls, he accidentally discharged the shotgun and hit into the bulkhead between the cockpit and the lounge, and shotgun pellets went scattering all around in the cockpit. Nobody got hurt, and Mary, back then you had to get a degree in nursing or to become a stewardess. And so Mary coincidentally had a degree in psychiatric nursing. So she used her skills to calm this guy down. He was going by a pseudonym, Dennis Monroe. So she was talking to him as though he was Dennis. And she asked if he wanted to hold her hand, and he did. And so he then things went kind of squirrely. He stuffed a piece of dynamite in John's mouth and waved a Zippo open flame in front of the wick and stuff. And there's just all kinds of crazy stuff that happened. And this is the hijacking was like Friday evening, and so they're pushing into Saturday midnight, and no banks are open, and Great Falls isn't like a big city or anything, so they had to bank the plane in a very shallow bank around Great Falls, so it seemed like they were still flying to Great Falls. We couldn't get this money together, right? And so they finally got word that the money was available. They landed, and he specified that a female police officer was to bring the briefcase full of his cash. And so they lowered down. They didn't have a rope, but they had an emergency escape strap that they cut and lowered down, which she tied the briefcase to, and they got it in. He gave the briefcase to John Arpin, the steward, and told him to count it. And so he pulled out a barf bag and an accountant himself and a bookkeeper or something. And so when he started counting, sure enough, the case is full of cash. Started counting it, and he realized quickly that the bundles of cash had hundreds and fifties sandwiched around ones and fives. So the bundles said, you know,
that's funny business. He said funny business, you know, like
so he chicken scratched out these figures on this barf bag and got it to total 1.5 million. He said, so how much is there? Yeah, it's 1.5 million. He said, count it again.
Yikes. On the way to Great Falls, he accidentally discharged the shotgun. Can you imagine being on that flight with some jackass trying to hijack the plane? The full talk with Mark is damn near 40 minutes long. As always, it's online right now, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you listen. I go to admit, it's kind of tricky picking a few interview highlights to play for you, since most of this chat was focused around that Air Canada flight, and the story is super compelling. Like, listen to Mark talk about the contents of the hijacker's checked bag.
Open this check bag up, and inside he had a parachute wrapped up tightly with twine, and he figured out what escape door he wanted to drop out of. There's a conversation with the captain about what would work best, going over the wing and this and that, and anyways, he couldn't undo this twine, and he got them to drop to 3,000 feet and at 120 wilderness basically, and he asked for a knife. He's like, we don't have like a sharp knife. He said, the captain said, I've got a safety axe up front. He's like, okay, bring me the safety axe. So by this time he had all the crew in the back, except for my dad was flying the plane, and he handed him the axe, and he put his shotgun down for a split second, and the captain, his name was Eamon, he came the aisle and grabbed the axe and got the other comers to, and he just went animal, like ballistic, like, and they started pounding him in the head with the blunt side of the axe, and he wouldn't go down. And he was reaching for dynamite in his pockets, saying, I'm going to blow all of you up, expletives left and right. And finally, they got a hold.
Your audio just cut off there for the last 5 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they finally got a hold of him and hit him in the head with the handle.
Yeah, got that.
Yeah,
and he's going crazy. He's got a minute. Okay.
And they knocked him out, and then
wow,
tied him up in the chair with gray duct tape while he was unconscious. Basically looked like a mummy, pretty much, and yeah, that they got back safe and sound to Calgary. The airport was actually closed. It was fogged in, and so they had to they were running out of fuel too, so they had to make this crazy foggy landing too, and they did it. And RCMP came on and took them off. They took the suitcase because they didn't know what else was in it, and blew it open, and he had Got a pair of goggles with extra lenses, sheepskin rope, a 5-band transistor radio, a flashlight, hiking boots, water canteen, plastic bag filled with clothes, 2 Air Canada schedules, a collapsible shovel, a map of the world, photographs of parachute jumpers, bag of chocolate bars, paperback copies of Airport and Hijacked, another gun, a 30 caliber U.S. Army issue folding carbine, and ID cards in the name of Dennis A. Monroe. And so, yeah.
What a quote. They started pounding him on the head with the blunt side of the axe, but he wouldn't go down. And Mark goes on to talk about how he was at the time also reaching for dynamite, telling the flight crew he was going to blow everybody up on the plane. Just an insane story, and one that surprisingly isn't well known in Canadian history, but I have a feeling that it will be after this book. Mark talked about the recent Air India crash as well, where twin engines both cut out. He says aviation buddies told him it's damn near next to impossible for that to happen, mentioning that most of our talk was revolved around that hijacking of Air Canada Flight 812, but we also talked about binging The Last of Us, The Brutalist, growing up to the music of CCR, Cat Stevens, and Jimi Hendrix. Mark talked about the NFL, the CFL, the Abbotsford Canucks, summertime plans. We talked video games, some pinball, and quickly back to his dad's hijacked flight. I had to include this. Listen to the sentencing for the hijacker.
He got sentenced to 4 life terms for hijacking, 14 years for extortion, and 10 years for illegal possession of dynamite and a prohibited weapon. While he was awaiting trial, he was remanded to the Ponoka Mental Hospital, which is like, I think it's between Edmonton and Red Deer, something like that. And in the middle of winter, he escaped through a bathroom window in the middle of the night, wearing only those light blue scrubs and slippers. We made it about an hour down the highway towards Red Deer in 20 below weather on the highway, and the RCMP recaptured him, shivering and begging to be taken back to the warmth of the hospital.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. So then, Mary Dowie, she became the first living recipient of the Cross of Valor, which is highest honor for. She was given it to by both Queen Elizabeth and Pierre Trudeau at the time, the Prime Minister. And she stayed on as a flight attendant until 91, had PTSD, but dealt with it. The purser, John Arpin, he got the Star of Courage, and the captain, Vernon Eamon, he was awarded the Medal of Bravery, the second and third highest awards Canada can bestow for bravery.
A wild story.
So, yeah.
Follow along on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Find us at Toddcast Podcast.
What the mind can do. I swear I'm capable of putting on a smile. It happens naturally. I can't just be who you want me to be. I can't just be who you want me to be. I
Speaking of EPs that are strong from start to finish, they are Cloud Sick, and a great song for those guys called In Between. They have a show this Sunday, the 27th, July 27 at Redgate. Again, that's all hype. Chief State, Cloud Sick, Landmark 20, just 20 bones, 19 plus. Doors are at 8 o'clock. A big thanks, of course, to this week's guests, Brian from Helix, goaltending director at the Yale Hockey Academy, Andy Neilsen, and the Doomsday Flight author, Mark Hagenson. You're all absolute beauties. Thank you for jumping on and sharing your stories with us. And that's going to do it for this one. Episode 370 is in the wraps, chucking stones to 400. That will be next year. We'll hit that in year 12. Once again, my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard, please do tell your friends about us. It's a big way of how we grow. We are part of the Realm.fm network. They're based out of New York City. Worldwide distribution, baby. Super thankful for that. You can subscribe to us, again, on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, YouTube. Comment and rate the podcast. It helps out big time through what else? Toddcast podcast. Huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. You can find links to all of them through toddhancock.ca. All their website links are at the bottom of the page on our homepage. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you can for as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage. We'll have a beer, have a coffee, and see how we can help each other, okay? And as always, if you help us find a sponsor, we'll give you a commission. It's literally that easy. You know a business that gets it, shoot them our way, and we'll take it from there. Okay, cool. Till next time, don't be an asshole, because nobody wants to be around that. Nobody. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Does music really have the power to heal? How can you instantly be more persuasive? What would the world be like if there were no bugs? These are the kind of topics we explore in every episode of my podcast called Something You Should Know. My name is Mike Carruthers, and what we do on Something You Should Know is we find leading experts and curate topics that will impact your life, satisfy your curiosity, or simply fascinate you, maybe all of the above. Out of all the millions of podcasts in the universe, Something You Should Know is usually ranked in the top 200 of all podcasts on Apple. A lot of people like Something You Should Know, and I'm willing to bet you will too. We deliver 3 episodes a week and have a catalog of over 1,000 shows for you to listen to. Give a listen to Something You Should Know, wherever you get your podcasts.
It's ticklish business any way you look at it. Come on, we'll stick together.
Love movies? Love classic movies? So do we. Ticklish Business is the podcast where classic film is discussed in modern times. Hosted by me, film journalist Kristen Lopez, and my co-host, author Emily Edwards, we dive into the golden age of cinema with fun, heart, and serious expertise. As published film historians and lifelong classic movie buffs, we bring insider insights, deep research, and lively debates with a variety of special guests, ranging from celebrities like Holly Madison to TCM luminaries Dave Karger and Eddie Muller, and even family members of old Hollywood legends. Subscribe now to Ticklish Business on your favorite podcast app, and let's talk about old Hollywood today.
You might think you know fairy tales, and you might think that they are cute and sweet and boring. But the real Grimm fairy tales were not cute at all. They were very dark, and they were often very grim. On Grim, Grimmer, Grimmest, we tell a Grimm fairy tale to a bunch of kids. Perfect for car rides or screen-free entertainment, Grim, Grimmer, Grimmest activates kids' imaginations and instigates fun conversation. Because fairy tales speak to all of us at a very deep, primal level, and they raise interesting topics and questions that are worth chewing over together as a family. Every episode is rated Grim, Grimmer, or Grimmest, so you, your kids, your whole family can choose what is the right level of grim for you. Though, if you're listening with Grandma, she's just gonna go for Grimmest. Trust me on this one. Tune in to Grim, Grimmer, Grimmest, and our new season, available now.